The Coach Curl podcast is brought to you by Think and Grow Business, the home of the Think and Grow Business Mastermind. If you're serious about growing your business, get serious and join a mastermind group today. Find out more at thinkandgrowbusiness.com.au.
Hey there, it's Tony here, and welcome to episode 141 of the Coach Curl podcast. We are all time travelers. Let's find out why. Hey there and welcome, it's Tony here and welcome to episode 141 of the Coach Curl podcast. Today we're talking about time travelling and one of the time travelling events that I'm involved in is in just 9 days time I'll be running the Melbourne Marathon, my second marathon after New York last year, and already the time travelling has started. So I'll fill you in a little bit more with that, but it's been a bit of a long journey getting to the Melbourne Marathon. It's been a painful one. I've torn my calves. I've had some races where I injured myself and I still made it through to the finish. So it's been a bit more of a painful journey. But I remember when I was those final weeks towards the New York Marathon last year where, you know, fundamentally I didn't run for 3 weeks because of an injury to my knee. So I'm feeling much better about where I am with the Melbourne Marathon. So I'm really excited. But I'm going to share that with you as part of today's podcast. And today it's all about the fact that we are all time travelers. Right? And one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast is, you know, when I do get some spare time and I do just need to, I suppose, chill a little bit, but also undertake some research into the fascination that human beings are. Often I'll head down the rabbit hole, and when I head down the rabbit hole, I'm talking about YouTube. And YouTube is just this kaleidoscope of people, just a kaleidoscope of people. It's, you see the best, you see the worst, you see the humorous, and you see the downright scary. And it's the absolute spectrum of human behaviour. But before I do that, I just want to thank everyone who responded to last week's episode. You know, everyone wants something, but few are prepared to pay the price. And it's just a fundamental fact of life. It's a fundamental fact of business. It's a fundamental fact of success. If you want something, there's a price that we pay for that something. You know, so whether it's a bottle of milk that we're getting from a supermarket or or it's working hard to lose weight, there is a price that we pay for the success that we want. And that was the whole point of the conversation, because it's pointless pointing fingers at things, at people, at circumstances if you yourself aren't willing to pay the price. So I would like to thank everyone who felt the need to make some commentary and to send me some feedback. And, you know, I love feedback and people, and once again, but it's the way that we can observe human behaviour. Now, I didn't get the best sorts of feedback. I'm not jumping up and down about some of the names that I was called, certainly, but it's good to get feedback. So thank you, one and all. And I saw some of the once again, the best behaviour and the worst behaviour, because some people actually understood what the whole podcast was about, while other people were very selective and narrowed in on one or two of the subjects that I covered. So, but it's really just a broad brush. My podcasts are all about a broad brush. It's all about my thought process in and around a current event, in and around a circumstance, in and around a situation. And for people to be very narrow and take out one specific, you know, that that shows and tells me a lot about who they are and why they exist. But I stand by everything that I say, because the reality is, if you do want success in life, there's a price that you have to pay. That's it. If you want anything in life, there's a price you have to pay. And if you don't get that, the odds are that maybe you're not going to be as successful or achieve the results or obtain the influence that you want. Pointing the finger never points the way. So I want you all just to think about that, and hopefully I've added some more values. But thank you once again for those that provided the feedback, and I received quite a bit through mostly private messaging. So thank you very much for that. And life is always about investing in yourself, and it's only when you do that can you truly achieve what the best is meant for you. But let's move on. Like the topic of today is time travel. And as I said, sometimes I travel down that rabbit hole that YouTube is. It's a fascinating place where I observe human behaviour, where I see the humour, where I see the conspiracy theories, where I see people focused in on growth. I see the charlatans. I see the con men. I see the snake oil salespeople. I see the business. I see people genuinely adding value with leadership perspective. But mostly I see the humanistic side. And it's really interesting when you see the humanistic side and you just sit there and observe human behavior. So, because we've become a bit of like a narcissistic society in many ways. We want to portray the best of who we are and what we do, and the people that we know and the things that we've achieved and the material goods that we've got. So we've become a little bit of a narcissistic society. But and I guess in many ways, once again, it's this broad spectrum. You see the conspiracy theorists who because someone's lied to them once, they never believe a thing anyone ever says to them in their life. So, and we see that in spades out there, and because of that, I love the flat earthers. I love conspiracy theories. And recently I discovered, and this may give you a little bit of an indicator of my YouTube viewing habits, but there was a couple of time traveling episodes that were recommended to me via YouTube, in and amongst, psychology and physiologies and, some leadership stuff that, I use as part of my ongoing daily growth, but there were some time traveling videos. I still find it humorous. And anyway, so I watched one and I thought it was really, I really thought it was incredible, to be quite honest, that we've almost created this genre out there on YouTube and of time traveling. And part of me saying, surely these guys aren't serious. Surely they're not serious. Surely they're in it to produce some good old fashioned entertainment. But when you start going through the comments on some of these videos, you start to realize that, wow, some people are actually believing this stuff. And the really interesting thing about, because as I said, it's a rabbit hole. You go in, you get down the rabbit hole, and you watch one time traveling video, you then tune into the next one. And there's a commonality about these things, right? The time traveler themselves usually are blurred out, so you don't get a really good vision of their face, or in fact of anything that they want to show us from the future. There's a couple of them that are attempting to show us what the future looks like through photos on their phones, and once again, it's all of that stuff's readily available now through the likes of Photoshop and whatnot. So it's really it's compellingly humorous in many ways. But either the faces are really blurred out, they're wearing ill-fitting clothes for whatever reason. People can't dress themselves in the future. It just seems to be the case that they'll wear this oddly shaped jacket or some really nondescript, fairly ordinary clothes. One of the ones I I watched was it looked like an animatronic. This face wasn't blurred out, but the lip movement didn't match the words, and it was almost like it was an animatronic type thing. And once again, it just seems like the voice is distorted. It's slow. It's slurring at times. But anyway, it's good entertainment, right? So it's always, but it's dodgy. It's at the very least dodgy. But some people take it seriously. Some people really take it seriously, and some people believe it. And I've seen that some of these videos have actually gained some mainstream media. So it's quite interesting, and I think it's a bit of a sad thing if people are going to YouTube and looking at some of these things for the truth, because it's very hard to decipher nowadays what's true and what's just someone's opinion or what's just someone's make believe. I look at what who's that guy on YouTube? The name escapes me now, and it doesn't always, but he did a bit of a send-up of the Flat Earth Society, and this particular Rogan Paul, is that it? Yeah, Rogan. No, it's not Rogan, but it's Paul. But he, wait a sec, I better just Google that. It's going to eat away at me now. So, but he did a so-called documentary on the Flat Earth, and it was all a bit of a send-up. And he really did do some damage to that particular, I suppose. Is it Rogan Paul? I don't know, but he did some damage to Flat Earth, which by itself isn't a bad thing. But he also Logan Paul, that's it, Logan Paul. So he did some damage to Flat Earth, but he also exposed Flat Earth to many more people. But it was really interesting to see that, because all of a sudden you've got this Flat Earth Society that are really in love with the fact that Logan Paul, this YouTube superstar, was at their conference and talking Flat Earth. And all of those smiles sort of wiped off their faces when they realised it was a bit of a piss take of a doco. So it's really hard to decipher what's true and what's not. So, at the end of the day, I really do challenge you that if you are getting any sort of information out of YouTube, to make sure that you source check and you do all of those things. But it's an interesting place, because some of these time travelers have found out to be frauds. There was one that gained some media attention worldwide, and then this young fella came out and said, "Well, I think that time traveler his name might have been Noah." So all of a sudden, hey guys, I'm Noah, and so some of them are frauds, and I know you're probably shocked by that. That time traveling isn't necessarily a thing, but or if it's a thing, they're hiding it really, really well. And I'm pretty certain that guy in the oversized coat with the wrinkly head with the blurred out face is potentially not a time traveler. Call me cynical, call me what you want, but it's really interesting that they continue to build momentum in this particular channel or industry on YouTube. And there's one or two channels out there that seem to find a time traveler every week or so. So that would probably indicate that they've got this source to the network or to the vortex or whatever we want to call it, or they're just making shit up. So, whatever it is that you want to believe, you've got every right to believe that. But if it's entertainment for entertainment purposes, got no issue with it, because it's all a little bit of fun. I certainly enjoy looking at it, and I certainly enjoy looking at the human behaviour that you see within the comments. But the reality for us is that we are all time travellers in some way, shape or form. And you're probably thinking now, what's Tony been on? Because that just doesn't make too much sense. But we are all a time traveller, and everyone is, because For many, we live in the past, right? So we're longing for those better days, those simple days of youth, the days at school. You know, everyone told you when you were at school they were the best days of your life. You didn't believe them, did you? But now as you get older, you start to believe, gee, school was pretty good, or I didn't make the most of it, or I wasn't the most friendly. Why was I so shy at school? So we've got all these emotions around the past, you know. I personally think about the days that I could surf every day of the week and enjoy it. Get out there at 5 o'clock in the morning and then after school I'd surf till you couldn't see, you know. Apparently that's when sharks come out, but no one sort of worried about that in those days or in these days in some respects. But a lot of people live in the past, in those days that we believe were better. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's okay to reminisce. It's okay to have memories. It's okay to use our experiences from the past to leverage success for us today. Because what I've found is that success in the past is a great grounding for us. It's a great grounding spot for us. It's interesting when we use that as to drive a motivating force for our future, for today. Where we've had success in the past, you know, that success leaves clues for us. So it's important for us to understand that so that we can continue to drive success in the future. Adaptable, flexible, understanding that, because, you know, the world is a continually evolving beast. But so it's okay to leverage off the past, to leverage from what we learned, to leverage from mistakes, leverage from success, whatever it is, that's okay. But it's when we live in the past and we don't look forward today that becomes a real issue. So we should be using the past as a bit of a motivator, but I don't want you to stay there, because if we keep dredging shit up from the past, incidents that happened years ago, circumstances that have gone, it might have been a previous version of you, it might have been something that you had no control over. We dredge up that sort of stuff that keeps us down, and it keeps us living in a place that we no longer belong. So you need to get out of there. You need to get out of there, and all of these techniques and strategies, there's so many techniques and strategies that are available to get out of the fact that we want to live where we obviously can't. You can't move back to the past and relive things. We have them in our memories, and they're there for a reason. So, but there's so many available opportunities for us to create a strategy where we're getting out of the past, and it's up to you to look for that teacher. You know, I'm not saying that in every particular circumstance that I'm going to be your best teacher, or listening to podcasts is going to be your best teacher. There are people out there that can help you. So, but you've got to get out of that past, because, you know, the reality is you can't change anything that's happened in the past. You just can't change it. So it's pointless living there. So get out of there. The other time traveling technique that we all have available, and it's part of what we do with the 4 pillars of success, we look to create a powerful visualizing process where we want to envision where we want to be. So I'm going to ask a question. If you were sitting exactly where you were in 12 months' time, exactly where you are now in 12 months' time, would you be happy with that? And many times, many times, people say, no, of course not. Why would I be happy with if I'm going to stay here? But the reality is that when you sit back today and think about where you were 12 months ago, often there's very little change, because once again, we haven't invested in that process of moving forward or growing. So think about that. So when I ask you, where do you want to be in 12 months' time? You cannot be happy with where you are today in 12 months' time. Now, that is not talking about not being grateful for where you are, not choosing attitude. All of that is about today. So we choose our attitude. We're grateful for who we are. We're grateful for who we've become. We're grateful for the people that we have around us, if they're supportive and encouraging. But the reality is that in 12 months' time, we all want to grow. We all want to be better. We all want to become someone that's better, that's stronger. And in some cases, we want material goods that back that up. And you know, at the end of the day, what does that look like for you in 12 months' time? So would you be happy if in 12 months you were exactly where you were today? I would suggest the answer would be no. So what does that look for you? What does that look for you? And what does that mean that you have to start doing today? What about if you were to think in 5 years? in 5 years' time. And once again, we're starting to think a bit of a different story, aren't we? We want to really envisage what that looks like. We really want to spend some time creating that vision. And what I really want you to tap into is, those days that you'd sit on the grass with some of your best friends and use your imagination and see shapes and things up there in the clouds, where you'd be in your bedroom playing with toys and you were creating this whole world for yourself that you were playing in. That's the imagination that we used to have, that creative spark, that creative imagination that you used to have, that somewhere along the line you've dropped or you've lessened or you've reduced. And when I'm asking you to think about what does all of this look like, what does your life, what does your business, what does your career look like in 5 years' time, you need to tap into an imagination that maybe you haven't tapped into for a long, long time. Because when you do that, you start to see the best version of yourself. You start to see the best person that you become. You look at who you are with, the better versions of the people that you're with. And you also look at what you have from all of that. So you want to be able to soak in that emotion, because that's what you want to attach yourself to. You want to attach yourself to that feeling that you have when you create the vision of what you should look like in 5 years' time. So you're effectively time traveling because of that vision. But then, unlike time travelers, we're not just making this shit up. We then start working towards whatever that looks like. And that's when it gets really powerful. When we can attach ourselves to that emotion of what our best looks like in 5 years' time. When we can attach ourselves to that emotion of what our best looks like in 5 years' time, that becomes the pulling power that gets you moving each and every day. It's time travel and it's powerful. And we should do it. And we need to be selective in what we use from the past. We need to use the success and the clues that success left us from our past. That's going to help us. But that powerful motivating factor of having a vision of what 5 years looks like, that's going to be your driver. That's going to be your driver of your daily habits and your daily actions. So of course you can time travel. We do it every night when we go to sleep. We time travel. We've got our active brain that's absolutely going ballistic with all sorts of dreams. All sorts of dreams. Some of them are centered in the past, some of them are centered in the future, but they are all an imagination based around subconscious, unconscious, whatever your brain is wanting to send a message to you in whatever shape or form. We do it every single night, this time traveling stuff. It's pretty cool. But I don't want you just to dream. I don't want you just to create that vision and feel good about yourself and then not do anything. Because we've got to use that emotion to drive us forward, to drive action, daily actions built to moving you towards the best that you can be. So stop dreaming, stop living in the past, create your vision, and let's get moving. Let's become that time traveler. Let's really aim for what we want to be in 5 years' time, and let's really make that happen. And work on it every single day, because that's how you get close to where you will be, the best version of you. Hey, thanks for listening. I hope you've taken some value out of this podcast. Please share, please review, send us feedback, whatever it is that you want to do to engage with this podcast. We are always appreciative. We see the shares, we see the continuing list of people that pop onto the Coach Curl website and listen to the podcast from there. Thank you very much for everyone there. So please share. If you found some great value, if this is a message that someone needs to have, be a good friend. Send it on. So As always, big thank you to my team at Think and Grow Business. We're improving the performance of people in business by strengthening leadership, mindset and business. Available, go check it out at thinkandgrowbusiness.com.au. I have written a book, and there's a couple of other books now available up there on Amazon from myself. So Amazon is possibly the best place for you to go if you're looking for a digital version. Outside of that, go to tonycurl.com.au, where you can pick up a signed copy of the Seriously Simple Stuff to Get You Unstuck paperback. As always, 20% of every book sold goes towards the great work that Carter's Cause are doing with Heart Kids Australia, supporting kids and the families of kids born with congenital heart disease. Don't forget our major sponsor is Totally Builderall, mate. It just continues to grow. You can do an e-commerce store there now with Magenta. You can actually create WordPress websites with them now, all for just one. It's amazing. You need to check it out. It's if I was to sit here and tell you the whole list of everything that you can do with Builderall, and by going through totallybuilderall.com, you would not believe me. So go check it out. It's I don't want you to live in this world of incredulous disbelief, because ultimately you've got drag and drop website editors, you've got WordPress editors, you've got a Magenta e-commerce store, and for those that are into e-commerce, that it's one of the better platforms that are out there. You've got video makers, you've got image makers, you've got a CRM, you've got a mailing list, mate, it's just endless. So check it out at totallybuilderall.com. Sign up for the 7-day free trial. You won't regret it. And don't forget, we have the Coach Curl Academy, and you know where that is. It's you can actually join the group on Facebook if you want. It's absolutely free. We've got some amazing units already on there. Or you can just go to the Coach Curl Academy and join the academy itself. We've got a free membership level, which gives you access to about 20 courses or mini courses. And we also have Gold, which is, you can do that for $1 for the first 30 days. Unbelievable, I know. And it gives you access to over 72 courses and programs designed to make you a better you. You know the deal. You're standing here stronger, better, braver, and wiser. And don't ever forget the golden rule. Yes, you know what that is. Just don't be an arsehole. I'll see you next week.